Hi Sagittarius and Sagittarius Rising. Here is your horoscope overview for 2026. I'm Astrologer Joseph Anthony. You guys have a very important year ahead. And this is because the energy dynamics of 2026 are going to completely change. And a lot of the alignments that I see coming up for many of you involves new creative endeavors, having more fun, a sense of adventure and travel. And this is because of the outer planets switching signs again and staying in these signs this time, not like 2025 where they just dipped in and went back out and reversed. So this reading is for anyone who has a Sagittarius rising or a Sagittarius sun sign. This is a very general, basic reading using sun sign astrology, the Western tropical house system. And of course, it's going to be very basic, so maybe 70% accurate, 75% accurate. Nothing is more accurate than your own actual birth chart, where you know the exact time and place and your alignments and the exact birthday. So again, this is very basic, and this overview will give you an idea of what's going on. I'll have an extended version of this in my Inner Circle community, which will have more charts and details. But for now, we're going to go over this and I'll explain what this all means, okay? So first, let's look at the numerology. Numerology is just a study of cycles and patterns through numbers. The entire universe is made up of numbers. So we see 2 plus 2 plus 6 equals 10. 10 breaks down to a 1. A 1 year is a very dynamic year where we're getting started and we're empowering ourselves and we're feeling very creative. But if you're a Sag rising or a Sag sun sign, this is amplified even more because your ruler Jupiter is also going to be changing signs this year and going into Leo, another fire sign like yours. And it's in a very favorable position for many of you. That'll be lighting up the 9th house. And I'll get to all of that when I get to those slides. So let's get started here and I'll explain a little bit about what's going to happen for many of you and what the dynamics are showing me. So the first thing we have to see is this. January 26th, Neptune returns to Aries, another fire sign. So since Sagittarius, Leo, and Aries are all fire signs, they're all about action. So what am I implying here? I'm implying that this is going to be a very busy year for many of you. The need for travel, the need to explore, the need to not be home as much. I mean, this past year or so, you guys have probably been more homebound than you really want to be. So Neptune leads the charge here on January the 26th. So the restless itch is going to really, start moving forward again. This happens to be in your 5th house of creativity, fun-loving, adventure. And so this is going to be the start of something very important. Now, when we get to February, Saturn enters Aries as well. Now, Saturn is a little different energy. Both of these planets are different energy, but together they work very well. Neptune is about imagination, fantasy, illusion, spirituality, mysticism. And Saturn is the great sort of restrictor, the builder, the constructor. It's like a governor on a car. It limits you. But these two working together could actually make dreams come true. And both of them are going to be in your 5th house of creativity. So this is going to be very important for many of you. So you're setting the stage already on the first 2 months of something very, very important. Now, I want to get to this as well. February is a huge month. We have a lot of activity in February. There's 2 months that really stand out this year. February being one and July being the other. And I do have, dates for you on that. So February the 17th, we have the first eclipse of the year, which is a solar eclipse in Aquarius. Now, this one activates your 3rd house of ideas and also short-term travel. So anything to do with writing and self-expression is going to be lit up here for many of you. Now, a solar eclipse is a new doorway that's opening up for potential and possibilities. So it's in Aquarius, another air sign, but air works very well with fire element. Again, look at this as symbolism. And so now the need to converse, the need to express yourself with others, the need to write, the need to explore continues going into February. So the first couple of months of the year, you are feeling very restless. Like, I got to go. I need to go do something else. I got to explore. I got to break out of my, this confinement that I've been feeling. And you're going to start feeling that in February. Now, February is a very important month. I will get to the reason why. This is also another reason why. On the 20th, we have the conjunction, the exact conjunction at 0 degrees of Aries between Neptune and Saturn. So this is again in that 5th house. And so this is again creativity, feeling the creative. Maybe you're planning at this stage. You're planning the near future. You're planning new events. You're involved with your children. If you have children, you're getting ready for new projects. You're feeling excited. Something is definitely bubbling here to get you moving and motivated. Okay? Now, it's not all peaches and cream this year. I guarantee you that. I mean, it never is. It's always a good period and then followed by a crappy period. That's what it appears to be the last couple of years based on the astrology. But again, it's up to you to do with that energy what you will. But we also have some tricky alignments coming in after the 26th and 27th. So first we have the retrogrades, which starts off the first one, February 26th through March the 20th. It's going to be retrograde in Pisces. Now, this retrograde is going to be in your 4th house of home, feeling, and foundation. This is where part of that itch may be for many of you a desire to move or remodel your home or change some sort of dynamic in your foundation. That itch is going to get strong. Maybe you want to buy a second home. Maybe you want to do something, different than you've been doing around your home, like changing up the landscape or, building something, an add-on, whatever. It depends. But Mercury will drag you back into that mindset, you see? And this is going to be in the 4th house. Now, you see, these are the rest of the Mercury retrogrades for the year. They happen to all be in water signs, Pisces, Cancer, and Scorpio. And so here we see another one. Now, this one is also very important because July 23rd is the other retrograde in Cancer. And this has a lot to do with your 8th house, having to do with finances. Okay, finances and transformation. And then this one is in the 12th house. And both of these are going to be surrounded by very strong energies, just like this one is. Matter of fact, all 3 of the retrogrades are going to have strong energy surrounding them, okay? So keep that in mind as things get weird. One moment they're fantastic. Next thing you know, between February 26th and 20th, things start going weird for some reason. Now you know why, okay? So keep these dates in mind. Here's the other event that's taking place in February, which is huge. Not only do we have the solar eclipse, we have the conjunction, then we have the Mercury retrograde, then we have this Mars square Uranus, which is very turbulent. Anytime Mars and Uranus are squaring each other, it can be a wild card of disruption. And so this one is going to activate your 3rd house of communication and ideas versus your 6th house of daily responsibilities, work, and your habits. And so this could be anything from having a disagreement with somebody or trying to change your habits in some way. It doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing, because sometimes squares will absolutely light a fire under us to motivate us to do something different. So it could involve your thinking, it could involve health, it could involve your job or your business in some way. So it's a very turbulent time. Remember, Mercury is retrograde at this time too. And so we're looking at some major disruptions going on here that you need to pay attention to. And why do I say that? Disruptions, because when we look and enter March, the first thing that we get hit with is the lunar eclipse in Virgo. Now, Virgo has to do with work and responsibility and health. And so this is going to be lighting up that 10th house of career. So many of you are going to say, screw it. I'm selling this company, or I'm leaving this job. I don't need this anymore. I need to move on. I need to find something better. As you can see already from the first 3 months of the year, the transition is starting to hit you hard. Okay, so this is how it's going to work. But still, throughout all this, you should still be pretty optimistic, because there is an underlying optimism throughout this entire year. So going into March, you're really contemplating everything, especially since Mercury's retrograde. And then going into April, the second half of March, when the sun goes into Aries, when the sun goes into Aries, things start improving, especially around this time frame, April the 15th to the 19th, because there's going to be 6 planets in the sign of Aries, another fire sign like yours, and they're going to light up that 5th house of creativity once again. So it's just like you lose a job or you sell a company, whatever, you're off doing something else because this energy is going to be amplified even more in April. And at the end of April, Uranus enters Gemini, which is your opposite sign. So here we go again with relationships and the dynamics and changes to relationships of all kinds. This time, Uranus is going to stay in Gemini for the next 7 years. So it's going to really shake up the people in your life and around you. Okay? Could be for good, could be for not so good. It depends on the year, the month, and the date. But I'm giving you a general overview of what I'm seeing here. Okay? So this is going to be important. As we go through May, there's really nothing big there. It's all about your work and, either working on yourself or your health or something along those lines. But when we get to Cancer season, that's when things start to change. That's going to be in June. Okay? Mars is, let's see here. We have, not Mars, we have the Sun going through Cancer at this time, but we also have this, which is very important. I'm going to talk about that in a second. Jupiter, your ruler, enters Leo. Now that is huge. But as we go through this period, you are going through a massive psychological transformation and a financial one as well because of Jupiter entering Leo. Now, Jupiter in Leo is going to be very favorable for you guys because it'll be in the 9th house. And the 9th house is naturally associated with Jupiter, which means that things are going to be expanded. Things are going to be you're going to be looking at things in a broader view, in a bigger way. So when we go into Leo season, the optimism absolutely continues to multiply and, get faster and bigger and more important. And you'll see this all unfolding as the summer months kick in. But what's really going on here, I want to show you something else, is this. Now, this is very important. You want to jot these dates down because they're going to be extremely important for many of you. And this has a lot to do with the other month that's going to be very important. So I said February and July. These 2 months are huge. But for you, we could also add August because there's something else happening in August. There's a lot of favorable alignments here. Sextiles and trines are very favorable. But this one highlighted here is the only one that can be an issue because Jupiter, your ruler, is going to be a Leo opposing Pluto in Aquarius. So this is from your 9th house to your 3rd house. There may be very important conversations at this time, either with your family members or where you're going, the sense of direction. Partnerships are extremely highlighted at this time because of the Aries energy right here and the Gemini energy right here. Gemini 7th house, 5th house, children and relationships, partners of all kinds are being amplified at this time. So there's a transition period happening in July. Then at the end of the month, we have the North Node entering Aquarius as well. This happens every 18 months. We switch nodes. This is the Moon's North Node. And so now we have a North Node in Aquarius, which is, again, that 3rd house of communication. So you're starting to think differently, thinking outside the box. You're not trying to do the same thing over and over again. So this is another breakout type of month for many of you. And some of it's going to be positive, and some of it you're going to have to just let go of. Then we have, there's more. We have the solar eclipse in Leo on the 12th. Again, amplifying that 9th house of higher learning, education, and travel. So this, again, opens up another massive doorway in that 9th house. Wanting to break free, trying new things, wanting more of a sense of adventure. This is going to continue for you guys. So you could see what the picture I'm painting here for many of you looks really good, but you're going to have to let go of something or someone that's not working anymore. But there's definitely a new direction indicated with the astrology. At the end of the month, of course, there's a lunar eclipse, and they usually happen 2 weeks later after a new moon after a new moon. And the lunar eclipse is going to activate that part of your chart having to do with the 4th house, and this is where the desire to move is going to get strong, or remodel, or something to do with family gets heightened and highlighted once again. So this could be a very important time for many of you to look at your family dynamics and look at what you've been going through, and time for change. So August is another big month for change. Of course, September, there's really not a whole lot going on there. We're going through Virgo season, then we go into Libra season, and there are not a lot of major alignments going on except for a Mars in Cancer square Saturn at the beginning of September. Can be a little turbulent with a family member or some financial matters. But speaking of financial matters, Venus goes retrograde in Scorpio. Venus and Scorpio both represent finances. So this is where we have a tricky period of the year, October 3rd through November the 13th. This is where we have either a slowdown or there's a reevaluation of our money systems or something that is going to be throwing things in for a loop for everybody. Okay? So this is a period that you will have to pay attention to. This happens to be in your 12th house. Then it backtracks into Libra, your 11th house. So you're revisiting the past. You're going into spiritual monk mode and trying to figure things out like the rest of us. So this is going to be one you need to watch. But as soon as this ends, we have such a positive conjunction between Mars and Jupiter, your ruler, in the sign of Leo on the 15th. Now, this is huge. This is like you just being empowered now to break free from something. And that's that 9th house that gets lit up again. So there's powerful energy coming in November. And that's going to set the stage for 2027. There's not a whole lot going on in December of 2026. So you could see here the ebb and flows of what I see here on a general basis. But keep in mind, this is very general and basic. I'm going to do an extended version of this in my Inner Circle community. And if you want to read more about the astrology and the alignments, check out my newsletter. You could sign up here at astrologerjoe.com, clicking on this link here. And of course, don't forget the free mini moon reading there. And if you decide to buy the whole report, then, we get a little kickback on it. Not a big deal. It's a third-party report. But you also could read my newsletters each month for free at planetswithin.com. I also have the 2026 overview there, so you could check it out there. And of course, my Inner Circle, where we talk about anything and everything, including members sending me their charts, and I go over some of the things that are going on, answer a couple of questions, and we do weekly astrology, we do learn astrology, and of course, we talk about all the craziness going on in the world today. Everything you could think of, from the conspiracies to politics to who's doing what with whom. And of course, I use astrology and intuition to guide my members. So consider joining. I left the link down below. But all through this craziness, friends, just remember this. We are spiritual energy beings having a human experience. That's what it comes down to. Okay, we're here in these suits, making choices and having experiences. And so no matter what happens, always remind yourself of this, and this will get you through everything. All right? So have a great year, and I look forward to talking to you soon. Bye for now.